Okay, if I could have everybody's attention, I'm going to call to order this May 18th, 2026 meeting of the Chelmsford Select Board. If you would join me in a pledge of allegiance.
With allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The first item on our agenda this evening is a joint meeting with the Chelmsford Housing Authority Board for a couple items. The first, filling the vacancy on the Chelmsford Housing Authority Board. We did have two potential applicants who submitted applications for this position, Taryn Angel and Wendy Crandall. And I think that's the only two applicants that we have, unless there's somebody else in the audience. Okay, if either of them are here, if they want to come up and talk to us a little bit about why you want the position. I see Taryn.
Hi, good evening. Thank you for having me. I'm interested in this position because I work in public health, and I know that there's a real connection between public health and housing. And I wanted to just be a part of this to try and help fill those gaps that might be here in the community. And I work very closely with our residents, so I know how to connect them to services, resources, really good with community engagement and social media and things like that. So I just thought this would be a great opportunity to even do more for the community than I already am.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Is Wendy here? Okay.
Hi. So I served 5 years previously, and I've just lost the position, so I was hoping if I had an opportunity to get back on. I have a real estate office here in the center, so I work with a lot of, real estate related things. Maybe if I have someone that wanted to look into building veteran homes and things like that, so I was just hoping to get back on.
Okay, thank you. All right, so we have two candidates. Do we have a nomination for either or both?
I would like to make a nomination
Do
for
you
Wendy Crick.
Just want to go to the microphone. They can't hear you in the audience.
Lynn Marceller, I'm currently on the Housing Authority, and I'd like to make a nomination for Wendy Crandall.
Okay. Do we have a second for that nomination?
Second.
Okay, Maura. Okay,
I'll move for Taryn Angel to be a candidate.
all right. Do we have a second for that one? Okay, Aaron. Okay, so both candidates have been nominated and seconded. I will do a roll call vote so we can see who's the next, who's going to fill the position. We'll start with Lynn.
Wendy Crandall, please.
Mara.
Wendy Crandall.
Do we have any other of your members?
Two additional members.
Oh, okay. Okay, and,
Wendy as well.
okay, so, and then Aaron, who are you voting for?
Taryn.
Okay, Dave,
Wendy.
okay,
I'd like to support the wishes of the Housing Authority and vote with Wendy as well.
okay, and John,
I'll vote for Taryn.
okay. And I'm gonna vote for Wendy. She was on the board before, and I think she'd be good to be back on it, so congratulations, Wendy. So we have another item on the agenda this evening, and that is an intermunicipal agreement for affordable housing services between the town and the Housing Authority. Paul, if you want to tell us a little bit about this.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair, members of the Housing Authority Board and Chelmsford Select Board. What we're seeking to do here is result of the transition between David Hedison leaving as executive director for the Housing Authority and myself departing as town manager. We've had basically an understanding or an arrangement over the years that the Housing Authority fulfilled the many housing functions for the town of Chelmsford, and with David's direction and the assistance of Kirk as our new director and so forth, we decided to memorialize them into a document that Christina Anderson of the Housing Authority produced. And it's my understanding that the Housing Authority has already agreed to the agreement. And basically, just for people watching to understand, the Housing Authority assists the town, many of the town's affordable housing responsibilities in terms of monitoring, compliance, developing the wait list for 40B and other units that come on the town, keeping track of our subsidized housing list, which is the list that deems whether we've met 10% under our obligations to the state under, Chapter 40B, and other compliance efforts. So again, this agreement memorializes that. It's obviously an intermunicipal between the municipal entity of the Housing Authority and the Select Board, and so obviously it can be terminated at any time, and there's no compensation for this service. So again, it's really been a tremendous assistance to the town over the years, and again, hopefully this guides the two boards and officials moving forward.
And you said the Housing Authority has already approved this?
Yes, good.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Any questions for the town manager? Any questions from Housing Authority members to the town manager, or to correct the executive director, since he's going to be responsible for it too?
Yes, thank you.
I think it's important to just remember that this really just memorializes the work that we've been doing with and for the town for the past 2 decades. Like Paul said, it has no change in the authority of the town. All the decision making lays with the town in and of itself. Continuing moving forward, this just memorializes what we're kind of already doing and would love to continue to do.
Okay, thank you. All right, if there's no questions, I'll take a motion.
I move that we accept, oh, I'm sorry.
I move that we accept the
Memorandum of
Memorandum.
understanding.
Okay, we have a motion.
I'll second it.
Okay, motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And I guess you guys can, well, you've already voted for it, you said, so, okay.
Okay, great.
All right.
Thank you again. Appreciate it.
All right.
Thank you. very much.
And so I'll take a motion to adjourn the joint meeting.
I'll make a motion that we adjourn the joint meeting of the Housing Authority and the Select Board.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thanks very much for coming, and you're welcome to stay for the rest of our meeting.
But we understand if you don't.
I'm sure it'll be a good one. Thank you. All right, now we're at, and before we go to there, I just need to, I forgot to make the announcement at the beginning that we are being recorded and broadcast live by Chelmsford Telemedia, and also recorded for later rebroadcast. So now we will go to public service announcements.
Okay, first thing we have on the agenda is a Memorial Day proclamation. Excuse me. Town of Chelmsford proclamation in recognition of Memorial Day, May 25th, 2026. Whereas Memorial Day, May 25th, 2026, has been set aside as the annual day of remembrance for those men and women who served our nation during times of conflict and as members of the armed forces. And whereas we pause this day to especially remember those who made the ultimate sacrifice of their lives to defend the freedom of all Americans. And whereas we honor the service and sacrifice of all veterans of all wars, conflicts, and join the living veterans of the town of Chelmsford in expressing our gratitude to their fallen comrades. Now therefore, we, the Chelmsford Select Board, do hereby proclaim Monday, May 25th, 2026, as Memorial Day 2026, and join all the town residents in recognition of deceased veterans of Chelmsford on this solemn day. Signed the 18th day of May 2026. Regina, do you want to take?
Yep. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I'm Regina Jackson, and I want everybody to know that on Monday, a week from today, is Memorial Day, and the Chelmsford Memorial Day observance will be in North Chelmsford this year. So the American Legion Post 313 is the host post. So if you would like to be in the parade, and everybody's welcome, please assemble at 9:30 at the American Legion Post 313, which is on 90 Groton Road. Step off will be at 10 o'clock sharp. And we will proceed down to Vinyl Square, and then we will have a program at the square. And then after the program, the North Chelmsford Town Hall is inviting everybody to come over for ice cream and cupcakes. And if anybody has any questions, just please call my office, 978-250-5238. And hopefully we'll see you all there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Then there will also be a ceremony to dedicate the Vinyl Square Tower clock to the town's veterans immediately following.
Immediately, yes, and
Yeah, Virginia.
that's Virginia.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm standing in for Bill Gillette, Virginia Timmons, 28 Levitt Lane. So Bill wanted to be here to announce that following the ceremony, as Select Board Member Mr. Hardy said, there'll be a dedication of a new street clock in Vinyl Square. Bill organized a team of volunteers who did the research on the clock, did the fundraising for the clock, and then worked collaboratively with the town leadership to get it installed. And we're really looking forward to that, and they'll have a special dedication to the veterans at that time as well. So if you're in the square, we really encourage you to come to the clock dedication after the ceremonies before you go get ice cream. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, can we have
Okay.
a few more?
Yeah, got a couple more. The Chelmsford DPW food drive for the Chelmsford Food Pantry will take place on Friday, May 29th at 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. at Market Basket at 288 Chelmsford Street. Additional drop-off locations will be the DPW at 9 Alpha Road, Monday, May 18th to Friday, May 29th. They're open Monday, Wednesday, Thursday from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m., Tuesday from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m., Friday from 7 a.m. to 12 p.m. We look forward to working with you to support the Chelmsford Food Pantry. And thank you for everybody for their generosity. We also have the, how should we make the LRTA bus routes better? They already had their event last month, but they also, there's a survey. You can go to surveymonkey.com/r/LRTA-FRSA-FY to take that survey. And we also have the Chelmsford Market on the Common announcing their 2026 season every Saturday starting June 6th to October 10th from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Locally grown and artisan crafts. It's always a good time. I think that's about it, right?
Okay, thank you. All right, we're now at the public input section of our meeting, so anybody who wants to address the board on any topic is free to come up. And just a reminder that you are limited to 3 minutes.
I'll be less. Lynn Marcella, Chelmsford Parade
That's what
Committee.
they all say.
I know Jeff has mentioned the parade at your meetings, but I just wanted to make a few comments about our plans for the 4th of July and the 250th celebration of our country. Thank you to all the businesses and families who've been sending in sponsorship and banner orders to support the parade. It is very much appreciated. The DPW will start hanging the banners this week. We are inviting businesses, organizations, and families to enter a float in the parade. We have great prize money, $1,500 for first prize, second prize is $1,000, third prize $500, and we will also have a couple of honorable mentions for $100. We'll have a lot of great things planned for the parade, including some new bands and participants, and we think it'll be a fabulous celebration for the town and the country. We will also be having a great concert on the Common during the country fair. Nashville star and Chelmsford girl Jilly Martin and her band will be with us again this year, and they were such a hit last year that we hired them right away that night. We have quite a few committee members retiring this year. Some of us have been on for 20 years, so as Jeff has mentioned, we're searching for new committee members. It's a great committee to be a part of, and Jeff and I know we've enjoyed it since 2005.
Yeah,
Long
I'd
time.
say so.
Finally, it's been a pleasure to have Paul Cohen working on the parade since he came to town. He has helped us in many ways, coordinating important details with the DPW, the police department, and the fire department. At one time, before the DPW stepped in to help us hang banners on the light poles, Paul was climbing ladders with us on very cold days.
And stuffing envelopes.
And stuffing envelopes and doing all the menial tasks that we have to do. So we certainly appreciate everything you've done for us, Paul, and you will certainly be missed. We wish we could talk you into staying, but I guess that's not going to happen. But I thank everybody, and we hope to see you all on the 3rd and 4th of July. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Nicholas Spinelli, 11 Golden Cove Road. Kind of got a lot to say, but we'll try to keep it short, I guess. Only 3 minutes, so we'll see how this goes.
We'll give you a little bit of a break there.
Oh, all right, yeah, we appreciate it. I'd like to start off by just expressing my gratitude for just the community of Chelmsford and everything. The outreach this town has given me it's been crazy. I grew up in Chelmsford my whole life. Went to high school here, played sports here and everything. So I'm a Lion through and through. I love this town, and its people have just been absolutely remarkable, and it's been motivating me to get through this injury more and more. So I just want to express my gratitude for this town, and I can't thank everyone enough for everything they've done to help me get through this. I'd also like to, continue the gratification, but for instance, like my family, especially my mom, she was by my side in the hospital every single day. Can't thank her enough for everything. She was always been there for me, and especially this tough time. So thank you, Mom. I appreciate it. Going further, my union, the guys I work with, a lot of people say it, the fire service is truly like a brotherhood, and I didn't really think much of it. I work with those guys. I go out with those guys all the time. I didn't really put too much thought into it, but it really, truly is. Those guys were by my side in the hospital from the day I went in. Some guys were spending the nights there with me, and their support and everything. I want all of them to know I will always have every single one of their backs through thick and thin, and that's whether we're on the fire ground or anything. That's even off the job. I'll always have their backs no matter what. I'd like to also thank the president, Rob Alabon. He has gone. Rob's obviously union president. He has jobs to do as the union president, stuff he has to do, but Rob has gone above and beyond for me. And everything he has done, I can't even put into words. Obviously, it's not on you guys. I got to figure it out myself, but getting paid and everything, I wasn't even conscious, or I was barely being conscious in and out of it, and I had to worry about my recovery. But Rob has been working every single day to make sure I'm covered and get to that. So I can't thank him enough for everything he's done, and it's unbelievable. It really is. So yeah, the community, my family, the brothers I work with, my friends, I can't thank everyone enough for everything that they have done for me. So just want everyone to know that I'm truly grateful for everything, and you all motivate me to get better every single day. So thank you.
And we're so glad to see you.
Good evening, Rob Albon, 1 Driftwood Drive. Madam Chair, members of the Select Board, thank you for having us tonight. Another name you may know me by is Mr. Impatient. I'm just going to put it out there. I'm very appreciative, though, in the fact that the Select Board is going to be addressing this bigger concern that is on our plate going forward. As we all know, the governor did file a bill that, through a lot of hard work and dedication through our state organization, the members of this local, I'm very proud that the governor decided to put that bill forward to try to get Nick covered in the long run. You have some very important topics to discuss tonight in your executive session. I will be on the record saying that I am disappointed that it is an executive session. As a point of order, I would hope that something that of this magnitude would be brought up in the public session, so that way everybody in the public can kind of hear the conversations going on regarding that. My concern is that I don't want the Select Board to be gaslit by certain members of this community, whether it's be the town manager or the fire chief. As we know in the past, there's been misrepresentations about the continuous communication that's been brought forward to our local. And I can tell you right now, unequivocally, that's all 100% false. We haven't been made aware of anything going forward. To speak to that point, we're at now day 13 for a Freedom of Information request regarding communications with the town. We're very disappointed in that, but again, our fight isn't with the Select Board. We know you have a very, very difficult decision going forward, and we hope that you consider what was brought forward to you and to help one of our own in Nick, and work with us to kind of make sure that this passes the goal line at the State House. So thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
And just a note, Rob, that after executive session, we will be coming back to open session to kind of talk about what we do talk about in executive
Correct,
session.
but we're not in there for any deliberative actions regarding it, correct?
That's correct. Yes.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Sure, John.
John Harrington, 149 Boston Road. I just want to bring up a comment that I would like to make to the chair. About a year ago, on liquor licensing, there'd be a 2-week, you'd have a hearing, then you'd wait 2 weeks to make a decision. That in the past has proved to be very well done. Well, what I'm saying there, this board will have an example of information in that 2 weeks' time that they don't get that particular night when there's a presentation. It's only 2 weeks, and in the past there has been things brought up that the board was not aware of that helped them make a decision. And for this board, not this particular board, but the previous board, they said, hey, we don't need that. We'll make a decision right then and there. And I think that's shortcutting basically what the residents would like to see, have input those 2 weeks. And I think it's very, very important so people aren't saying it's being snowballed right past everybody. And I would hope the board would reconsider bringing back that policy. It proved to be very well done for over 30-some-odd years. As you, Madam Chair, realize, you've been on a long time, you know that. And John as well. So, and when you have people come here representing their clients, they're always going to say, oh, we have to move real quick. The ABCC takes a long time to make a decision. Well, wait a minute. This board has a right to say, hey, 2 weeks will give you a decision, which is very nice. And it's happening in the past. We shouldn't worry, the board should not worry about what's happening down the road with the ABCC. You're giving that individual a license, possibly, and you should not make any exceptions. That's all I have to say on that.
Thank you.
Okay.
Anyone else? Is there anybody on Zoom? Oh.
No, not for open session
Okay.
board purposes.
All right, so we'll go
Go to
to
committee vacancies.
committee vacancies.
Committee vacancies as of 5/18/2026. We have one unexpired term on the Age-Friendly Implementation Committee. We also have one unexpired term on the CCA Town Hall Advisory Committee. We also have one unexpired term on the Clean Energy and Sustainability Committee. We have 5 openings on the Commission on Disabilities, one unexpired term on the Council of Aging, and one unexpired term of the Cultural Council, and one unexpired term of the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee, 4 unexpired terms of the Holiday Decorating Committee, one unexpired term of the Military Covenant Task Force, and Parade Committee. All are welcome, and as I've, just because we're getting close to the date doesn't mean you shouldn't join now, because this is the time that we do a lot of our, obviously we work all year to get prepared for this time, but this is when we put everything together. So it'd be very good for somebody new to be able to watch how we proceed with that. And anybody, if is interested in serving on our town board or committee, please complete an online application available to the town on the town website. Or for more information, please contact the town manager's office, 978-250-5202, or tmoffice@chelmsfordma.gov.
Thank you. All right, next up is a report about the Bonnie Playground.
Yeah, we have our Public Works Director, Christine Clancy, here this evening, and we have Kim Riley from the Railroad Foundation to present a donation. So, Christine, if you come up here and just provide a bit of perspective and background for this generous gift.
So, good evening. This project is the Varney Playground Phase 2. And so first, this pictured here is the first phase that was installed a couple years ago. And we left a second piece that could be completed. And it was the Railroad Foundation that approached me and thought that it would be great to donate to the community. And looking for a piece of equipment that really could service all children of all abilities. And I had also received feedback in other playgrounds how it's great that we're trying to promote equipment that is accessed by all different abilities, but it would be great to have a piece where kids in wheelchairs could access So really, this is a perfect timing, perfect project, perfect timing. We were starting to look at that second phase. This was recently approved at town meeting. It is a overall larger project, but really was brought forth by the Railroad Foundation and really bringing to the community, identifying this need. So working together, and I'll let them talk about their organization, and really they're here. It's a collaborative effort with DPW. This is here pictured the piece. This piece will be installed later this summer, so probably just after Labor Day, so by September. And it also includes the poured-in-place pavement, or poured-in-place rubber cement, so full access onto it. But I don't want to take away from the presentation. Really, I want to present the Railroad Foundation. It's really their efforts to bring in this project to fruition and collaboration. So thank you.
Thank you, Christine.
Hi, my name is Julie Armitage. I actually live in a neighboring town, but I'm one of the co-founders of the Railroad Foundation. And I wanted to thank you guys for collaborating with us on this project and just give you a little background on how our organization came to be. My youngest daughter was diagnosed with an ultra-rare disease when she was 2. But being the youngest of 3, we were no strangers to playgrounds. We were there all the time. However, as her needs became more apparent, it became very challenging to take her to a playground, both physically and emotionally. Physically, she had mobility challenges and needed mobility aids, and we could not navigate a playground with wood chips. We would get there and there was no structure for her to play. And so I found we were sitting on the sidelines. So emotionally, it was not fulfilling. We could not enjoy the play. We watched everyone else enjoy the playground, and we were left out of those opportunities to build a community that I was afforded with my other kids. I didn't realize I stopped going to playgrounds because of this. And then my older son one day asked us why we didn't go to playgrounds anymore. And that's when I realized how much these barriers really impacted our family. And that was the inspiration for the foundation. We've been slowly working at trying to improve local playgrounds and to build a community where kids can play together. And that's what led me to meet the Riley family.
My name is Kim Riley. Exactly how Julie just said, we also have our youngest daughter who has a rare chromosome deletion. It just brought us to meet the Railroad Foundation. And then when the opportunity came to give back to our own community here in this town, we knew it was our turn to help. Hosting a fundraiser this past March, we were able to bring together not only our family, our friends, our kids' schools, local businesses, but we were able to bring together an entire community we didn't even know we had here in our own town. It was a reminder of just how incredible this town really is, how supportive Chelmsford could be. Together, we were able to raise funds to help make Varney Playground more inclusive. This project will not only benefit our own family, but so many more families, so many more children that we could ever imagine. It's going to strengthen our entire Chelmsford community. So we just wanted to say thank you for allowing us to be part of this, and thank you for allowing us to partner with DPW. Together, it's going to make a more inclusive place for everyone.
Thank you.
And then we have the official, unofficial check. So we're going to present $10,000 that we were able to raise this past March, hosting a fundraiser in name of our daughter Madeline to you guys here at the Select Board.
Okay, thank you very much. I guess Christine, you can take the check.
Yeah, can we do a quick picture or?
Sure, sure. Do you want it with the select board or?
Yeah.
Sure, we can do that.
That's the real one.
good news for the community. That's really good. Okay, next up is a license, a change of manager and change of officers and directors and managers on an all alcohol beverage license for Rochelle Hospitality Element by Weston. Is anybody here for this application?
Lorraine Day is on Zoom
Okay.
on behalf of the license holder.
Okay.
Yes, hello. Hey,
Okay, if you want to tell us a little bit about this and you taking over the position?
yes, it's good. Katie Blake had received a promotion. She was the one on the license prior. So they asked me if I would be on the license. I am the GM here at the Element. I think this would, it's a good idea, seeing how I'm on property, maintaining everything.
Okay, does anybody on the board have any questions for Lorraine? Okay. Now, I noticed the hours are 6:30 a.m. to 12 midnight. Is that what the hours are right now at that facility? Paul, do you know?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay.
There's no change in hours. on this
Okay, because it just
application.
seemed earlier than
Yeah.
what I typically expect. All right. Okay. If we don't have any questions, we can take a motion.
All right, I'll make a motion that we approve the application for the license change to Russell Hospitality LLC at Element by Weston.
Second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Okay, 5-0.
Great. Thank you, Lorraine.
All right.
All right, thank you all.
All right, next up, reports and presentations. First is Capital Strategic Solutions. Is going to give a final report on the assessment for the potential consolidation of the 3 water districts.
Good evening, board members. My name is William Keegan. I'm a senior project manager for Capital Strategic Solutions. We're a firm based out of Hudson, Massachusetts, and we were tasked with the prospect of evaluating the 3 water districts here in the town of Chelmsford. We actually provided an update to this board. It was about 2 months ago that we were here last, and providing you some indication of where we were headed and what we were finding up to this point. So what we've discovered in terms of the final report is that we found that there's a lot of inconsistencies in terms of how things are actually operating with the 3 different districts. The purpose of the study was to determine whether or not it made better sense to actually have 1 district for the entire town as opposed to having three separate districts. Now, there are a few places in Massachusetts where there are multiple districts within the same town, but there are also several other instances where you have multiple towns actually run as 1 district. The example that comes to mind was a town that actually was a town manager and was in Dedham, where the Dedham Westwood Water District was run by 1 district for both communities. So what I'd like to do is just go through the slides quickly. First of all, there are 3 districts in town: the East Chelmsford Water District, the Center Chelmsford, or Chelmsford Water District, they call it otherwise known as the Center District, and the North Chelmsford Water District. I'm going to try and read it from there because I'm actually seeing this I'm actually having a very limited view of this presentation from here. Let me see. Hold on a second. Yeah, here we go. Okay. Better if my eyes are not as good. I used to be good at one time. It's pretty far away from me. So I'm glad I did it this way. So the 3 districts are different in the sense it's primarily by size. The East Chelmsford Water District is the smallest, say of 700 to 750 connections. The Chelmsford Water District is the largest, with about 8,500 connections, and North Chelmsford is about 2,750, almost 3,000 connections overall. The key findings that we found were that the greatest operational concerns were identified, but in the study was with East Chelmsford because we couldn't get the information that we asked for. Originally, we had we'd gone there a couple times. Myself, as well as my colleague, had gone there to actually meet with the folks there. We did talk with the superintendent a couple times, but weren't successful in meeting with the staff, the office staff, so we couldn't get any of the financial information that we were looking for. We did try a couple times by email, and then we also called and couldn't make a connection to get the information that we were looking for. So what's even more concerning is that there was no documented evidence from our perspective that we could see for capital planning. There was minimal staffing involved with the operation. There's only 3 people that actually run on a day-to-day basis. There's the superintendent, there's the office manager, and then there's a water plant operator. There's limited governance. The governance transparency was a concern to us as well. We couldn't find any records of their meetings. We looked. We had no minutes. We had no postings of meetings. We had no certified votes of actions taken at district meetings to actually confirm the actions that were taken. So without having the information, we were put at a very difficult spot to make any solid recommendations. And then there was no financial information that we could find either. In fact, we even went so far to check with the Department of Revenue, and the only statement that they had was that nothing had been filed since 2014, prior to 2014, and nothing after 2014. So there was nothing on the record that we could find. The Chelmsford Water District, conversely, is a very good operation. They have the strongest organizational capacity. They have established capital planning. They were the only ones that actually had a capital plan per se. It wasn't a complete capital plan but it did actually talk a lot about the infrastructure development over time. They actually have a multi-year plan that they put together. Environmental Partners did a report on the asset management back in April of 2024, which was actually really well done, and did a nice job of actually laying out what the needs are for that organization. They have a robust staffing structure. And they have advanced cybersecurity and operational systems, and they have strong financial reserves, which are really significant for this for the ongoing future of that operation. They are the largest, of course, so therefore they do have the largest opportunity to pull from the membership of the community to pay for things. North Chelmsford was operationally sound and financially stable, but they have aging equipment and infrastructure concerns. And they don't seem to have a clear capital plan. They've done some capital improvements, but they don't have a capital plan per se. And a capital plan, just for the definition for everybody here, would be a multi-year plan that will look at things that need to be replaced over a period of time. It will also lay out the finances of that and actually come up with a financial planning mechanism that actually help pay for those improvements. There was inconsistent documentation. Some of the information they indicated they did not want to share with us for reasons because they felt it was not appropriate to share, but the information that we were looking for was stuff that was for instance, like looking for cybersecurity plans, the emergency management plans, things of that nature, which we understand that DEP actually has some concerns over that, but we want to make sure that the plans were in place and that they were actually consistent with best practice. There's no formal, as I said, no formal long-term planning and capital replacement plan in place. There are some vehicles that they've been replacing, but actually the only group that actually had any kind of replacement plan was the Chelmsford district, which actually was looking to replace a vehicle as well as one piece of equipment each year. So they've actually done at least have a plan in place. Some of the shared challenges across the 3 districts are that they consistently have an aging infrastructure system. Everybody has PFAS issues and requirements, though I will say that 2 out of the 3 are actually either dealing with it, and actually in the North Chelmsford plant they're actually treating it right now. But actually the Chelmsford district is actually have a plan in place to build some new facilities and to treat the water in that district. We could not find, as we said earlier, any information from other than to say that they were looking to try and do a pilot program with somebody, but we could not find any information to support that. The employee benefit costs across the three districts was actually very interesting to us because we saw in many cases that the health insurance payments were much higher than what they should have been. We've identified that in at least two of the three districts, the payments that were being made were actually in excess of what the state statute allows. So they were, in some cases, they were being paid 100% for the health insurance coverage, which by law, if you look at the health insurance chapter 32B, section 16, allows the maximum you can pay is 90%, and the employee has to pay 10% of that. The equipment replacement needs, that's an issue, as I pointed out earlier. Nobody really has a full-fledged plan except for Chelmsford, who does one a year, one vehicle a year, maybe another piece of equipment per year. But obviously, that's something that's going to continue to be an issue as the equipment ages out. The two pieces of equipment that we identified in the East Chelmsford department was, one was a 2017 pickup and the other one was a 2014 GMC pickup as well. Those are the only two pieces of equipment that they identified. There is a duplication. There's rather regulatory compliance demands made of all three, which we think that actually could be consolidated into one compliance request and one compliance report. That actually would be much more efficient to do as opposed to doing it 3 times. There's duplicate administrative and operational systems. In other words, there's 3 different rates. There's 3 different billing cycles, 3 different billing companies, approaches that they use, which could all be done consolidated into one if they had one district for the entire community. And then of course, the last piece is really the inconsistent customer service that you get, especially with an operation such as East Chelmsford. If one person who works in the office isn't there, either she's sick or is on vacation or isn't able to come to work for whatever reason that day, there's nobody there to really answer the phone, unless it's an emergency of some sort, and they might get reported to the superintendent in that respect. But there's nobody to answer questions or to have any response relative to rates, et cetera. The other thing too is that the web pages for all three are pretty different as well. If you take a look at the Chelmsford has obviously the most advanced. North Chelmsford actually has a decent one, and the one for the East Chelmsford website is actually fairly minimal information. It talks about what the rates are for the current year, but there's no other information. There's no indication of when their district meetings are being held. There's no indication of when their annual district meeting is being held. So it's difficult to know, what kind of information comes out of those meetings in that respect. So with respect to I pointed out earlier that there's 3 people on the staff in East Chelmsford. There's the Board of Water Commissioners that leads the operation. There's three board members in each of the 3 districts. There's the superintendent, and then there's the office manager and the water treatment operator. The key points is that there's 700 plus service connections. It's the smallest staffing structure of all 3. And there's limited staffing redundancy in the event that something goes wrong or somebody gets hurt. It automatically creates a significant impact on the operations. There's no documented backup operational structure identified. We couldn't find any none of the information was shared with us. If it's available, it just simply wasn't shared with us. And the North Chelmsford Water District, they have a little more. They have a more advanced. I wouldn't say a little more advanced staffing structure where they have a Board of Water Commissioners, again 3 members, a superintendent, treasurer, environmental engineer, a supervisor, foreman, and then he actually supervises. She supervises all the operators for the department, which I believe there was 5. Key points: approximately 2,750 service connections there are in the community. They operationally are a stable system. We didn't have any operational concerns about them per se. The aging infrastructure and equipment concerns are concerns that we see pretty much consistently throughout all 3 systems. And there's one staffing vacancy, which I'm not sure if it's been filled or not. That was the superintendent at the time we started the study, whether that person has been actually, there was an interim person. I'm not sure if that person has been made permanent or not. And then finally, the Chelmsford Water District, we had the least concerns of all 3 of this district because, of course, they're the largest, but then they're also the most sophisticated of all 3 operations. There's a Board of Water Commissioners, again, 3 commissioners, a business director / treasurer, and the superintendent, then the superintendent reports to the business director. You have several different line operations and employees that belong to each of the different divisions, which most report all to the superintendent for operational purposes. The key points is that they have 8,500 service connections, they're the most developed operationally, and they established their capital planning systems are actually pretty far advanced in comparison to any of the three of the three that we talked about. The strong staffing depth and operational capacity. So if somebody is out sick or if somebody's on vacation, the work still gets done. It doesn't get put off to the next day because someone's not able to perform the work. So what we did after that was to say, okay, what if we were to do a consolidation of all 3 and to address the issue of why do we need to have 3 superintendents? The answer is you don't. Organizationally, you could have 1 superintendent reporting to 1 board of, say, 5 members as opposed to 9 members, with 3 different boards with 3 each. You could do instead of a 9-person board, you could do a 5-person board. You could have the superintendent / business director, whatever title that you want to choose for that, could actually report to the 5-person board. Then you would have effectively 2 different operations. One is the assistant superintendent would be in charge, or the / engineer could be in charge of the operations side, and the treasurer / finance director could be in charge of the financial side, which would address all the issues dealing with billing and dealing with bill paying, doing the budgeting, things of that nature. So, in conclusion, what we have found and what we recommended is that there are several operational challenges that need to be addressed. That could be addressed if we were able to consolidate the operations into one larger operation for all 3. The financial challenges are significant because when you think about it, if you need to do the same level of work, replacing pipes or doing capital improvement projects such as building water plants or PFAS issues, you could do that collectively as opposed to individually, which makes good sense financially. The governance challenge is having 3 different boards with 3 different policies. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And then having 3 rates, of course, is another concern. There will always be some little bit of a difference initially if you were to consolidate the 3, because we don't know what the level of infrastructure needs are in at least one of the operations, and possibly we would need further evaluation of the infrastructure needs in the other 2 as well to confirm what needs to be done. But at least you could, at that point, whoever had the most impact obviously would have to require a budget adjustment in order to make that rate work. We do recommend that some immediate actions that you do shared services initiatives, buying chemicals together, doing contract work together as opposed to doing it separately. Having one contract to do all work in all 3 communities. All 3 districts, rather. You actually have a couple of the districts actually doing their own improvements. Perhaps if you did, you could actually maybe contract that work with East Chelmsford to actually do some of their work. Any one of those things, any one of those scenarios would be useful. There'd be joint procurement efforts instead of, like I said, first of all, we only could identify 2 people who are actually licensed in all 3 districts, right, that had the certifications for procurement, which I think is something that needs to be addressed immediately as well. I think it was Chelmsford that actually had the members that were already licensed. Standardized data collection. Why have 3 different districts with 3 different sets of data? At the end of the day, it's one product that you're selling. It's one product for the entire community. Why have 3 different ways in which you can you produce the data? The data should be standardized if at the very least. In administrative coordination, you could have support throughout the course of the day, where the community could call and have their questions answered. You could have questions about rates. You could have questions about operations. You could have water quality issues addressed by the community. Whenever that issue came up, you'd have one person or a few people in the office that could actually respond to those questions and calls. A unified governance approach again, is something that we really think is really important by having just the one board and not multiple boards creating multiple policies. A centralized capital improvement program makes all the sense in the world in order to have, so we have a true understanding of what the condition of the infrastructure is throughout the entire community, and that you're not creating an imbalance, if you will, in one district versus the other. If you have a unified system, you could address it that way. And then if we actually did go through a consolidation, there would be, we recommended this would probably take about a 3-year process in order to accomplish it. But at the end, there would have to be formal legislation in order to combine the 3 into 1. But we do think that consolidation represents the best solution for the community at this time. As I said, we did check in to see how many communities there are, how many places throughout the state that we could identify. There's a couple. Linfield, I think, has 2 districts within it, and I think on the Cape there are several different villages on Cape Cod and Barnstable. If anybody's familiar with that, there's several different villages in Barnstable, and they have different water districts within that as well as fire districts for that matter, which used to be the case here in Chelmsford. So it's an evolutionary process, but at the end of the day, we think in the best interest of the customer, we think that this is the better approach to take. So those are our thoughts, our recommendations. Our report has been provided to you. All the details are there in the report. If additional information was made available to us, we would have been happy to include it. And we probably possibly could come up with a different set of results in some cases, but that's the findings that we found.
Okay, thank you very much for the report, and just so everybody is clear, each district is its own separate municipal agency, so this board really has no absolute authority over them, so we can't force any of these actions to be taken. We can definitely advocate for them. So, and having said that, if anybody has any questions for Mr. Keegan about his report, we can ask them now. Anybody? Dave?
I have a question for you.
Sure.
Hi there.
Good evening.
Thank you. One of the things that I didn't see was, did you encounter in the last 5 to 10 years an issue where the town of Chelmsford had a water problem that resulted in customers not getting water or service for some extended period?
We did not come across that. If there was, so it wasn't made available to us, so we didn't see it in a report that came out of that. It wasn't identified in any of the reports that we had. Okay. So, but it may have happened, but it wasn't identified.
Yeah, I know you said you got a little sketchy information on
Right.
some areas. The other question is, you continued to say aging equipment. I saw the long lists of equipment that's out there.
Right.
Was any of it on a list of this one is 25 years old and probably won't last any longer that we should really pay attention to?
Yeah, so any of the equipment that's particularly construction equipment is about a 20-year life expectancy. And then and it gets, at that point, things start to age out. They become expensive to fix. The parts aren't as easily available, things of that nature. So anything that's over 20 years old would be something that we would look at more seriously. Some of the daily equipment, such as dump trucks and pickup trucks, they can last a little bit longer. But some of the construction equipment that's, some of the heavy, some backhoes or excavators would have to be looked at more seriously.
Right, I was more concerned with the water components, that
Sure.
if something fails and somebody doesn't get water, that's when the problems occur.
Yeah, so the water infrastructure in some cases is pretty old in some cases,
Right.
from where we could see. So we do, and it's not unusual to see that in Massachusetts. In fact, Boston actually has some very old pipes. But I will say that in this day and age, when we're looking at trying to create a safe water product, there's all kinds of regulations coming out of the EPA. DEP are regulating this pretty heavily. When you have PFAS concerns, you want to make sure that the pipes that are transmitting that water to each and every household is actually doing the job the right way. Now, I will say that all 3 districts did do the lead survey, and all 3 came back with a positive result. So that was one good finding that came out of that.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Jeff?
Yeah. Is there anywhere in the report that references any adverse effects to the water takers if there was a consolidation?
Well, we can only speculate what happens if you actually, because it could be a wide range of events. One, you could have a major water break that shuts down the entire, if it's a main water line, it could actually shut down a good section of that district. Therefore, and given the limited resource that you have, say, particularly in East Chelmsford, that could take longer than that if, say Chelmsford, who could actually get out there and fix that in a quicker way than East Chelmsford can do that. The other issue is if you have a boil water order, because there's contamination in the pipes themselves. I worked in a community in Foxborough. We had a couple situations like that until we were able to actually get the water treatment under control. As I said earlier, we didn't see that happen here. But I will say that the older the pipes are getting, the bigger concern that is to address that. And by the way, the older they get right now, the more expensive it gets to actually make those improvements.
Okay, anyone else? Aaron?
Just at the end there, you mentioned that if the water districts were to join together and take on this process, that you think it would take about 3 years. Do you have any kind of sort of background on why you think it would take that long and not less or actually even more?
It could take long, it could take less. It really depends on the cooperation and the willingness of the 3 districts to want to do this, because actually, as you correctly pointed out, Madam Chair, that they are 3 separate legal entities, and as a result, there would have to be cooperation amongst all 3 in order to achieve that. We laid out what we think is a workable plan to actually start the process, and it could actually be done based on that number if, in fact, there's a willingness and cooperation to make this work.
And I think the other, thank you for that. I think the other question that I asked the last time, and maybe I didn't ask it right or to be more clear about it, but my guess is doing this, because not only because it's a legislative process, is the devil's in the details with the 3 entities pulling this off, which again, I think we've all concluded is obviously worth the time to look at. But do we have any examples, over the last 20 years of at least two water districts merging and what the process was like? So I'm thinking you showed up there 3 distinctly different water districts. One really well run, but they've got 8,000 connections, and the other 2 at varying levels of structure. So I'm just curious, is there any example we can look at to see if there were lessons learned or challenges, those types of things?
It was like, as I indicated earlier, that there aren't that many examples. There are few examples where you have multiple districts within the same town. Linfield is one. You have it here, and then of course in the Cape. So there aren't that many examples where that's actually been done. All right. So I would say I'm happy to go back and look further for you to see if I can find anything, or even outside of Massachusetts, even in other states, to see if in fact that's been done in other places, to see if that's a possibility.
Okay. No, I appreciate it. Thank you.
No problem.
John, anything?
So, since we don't have any control over it, do the voters have it controlled? In other words, if there was a ballot initiative townwide, would that, and to consolidate all 3, would that at least start the process so that we could get something before the legislature? And
I suppose you could do a non-binding referendum.
Okay.
That would say something, that could be an indication of whether there's support to do it, which is probably the only way you're going to find out one way or the other.
Well, my concern is that the central district will say, we don't want to do it, and even if the other 2 say that they do, there's not going to be the number of votes to do that.
Well, I always like to sometimes use that as a benchmark to see what is the will of the people in this situation, because I do think that, the folks in Chelmsford, the Senate district, probably don't have as great a concern about this as, say, perhaps maybe East Chelmsford or North Chelmsford. But then again, if people are not complaining about it, they may not know what they're complaining about, because if they don't have enough information about that as to what the conditions are of their system, then they maybe are not in a position where they complain about something that they could talk to, fluidly. But I think if it purely from a business perspective, organizational perspective, and from a financial perspective, this makes better sense.
No, I agree with you, and I think that your presentation last month and this month will help inform the voters what the problems are.
Correct.
I think the real problem is how do we implement it?
And so that would be my suggestion. I don't think you can, since they are three separate entities, that the only way you can actually determine if there's support to do it, then I think you could pursue it further from there.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, thank you. And I will note that there are some water commissioners here in the audience this evening. If you wanted, maybe one from each district, if there are that many, could speak, but just note that this is not posted as a joint meeting, so be very careful about what you would say. So if any of you want to make any comments at this time. Any takers? Okay, all right. East Chelmsford.
Hi, my name is Ron Perret. I'm the chairman of the board, and I just want to answer some of the comments that are on that report about communication and so on. I've brought the superintendent with me and the office manager also, and seeing the board has gotten all this input, I would think that some of you could ask them questions if you want, and we can maybe clear up some of this stuff. The East Chelmsford Water District, I've been on it for 28 years. And in 28 years, I've never heard anything from the town manager or from the Board of Selectmen about anything. They've never called at any time and said, gee, Ron, do you need any help over there with all these stories? And that's never happened. We've always gotten along on our own. We use outside workers to fix breaks. In fact, we used the Center District a couple weeks ago because we couldn't get a hold of the regular people that we use. We're very frugal about what we do with the money, and we do have money, and we do have plenty of capital improvements to do, and PFAS is about the only real thing that we're facing right now. And like I say, if you want to ask some of the real technical questions, the superintendent can answer them for you. But as far as the communication goes, in the 28 years I've been there, anytime anybody wants to talk to us, they call up and they ask when the next meeting is, just like you're doing now. And we have them come in and tell us what they want or what they're thinking, and that's never happened. And in this case, they sent a person to talk to the superintendent, which I'm going to let him defend that himself, and somehow or another, it got out of hand. So if you want, I'll let Rob Conway come up and talk to you.
Okay, I mean, just so you know, part of what the discussion this evening will be is what our next steps are, and that might be getting all of you in a room together.
Oh, I
and-
just
and
want to
talking
defend
about-
some of the,
Sure,
there's some
understand.
stuff in there that's not right. It's not
Okay.
fair to the people of East Chelmsford. We only have to answer to the state and to the people of East Chelmsford. And the way they're making this sound is there's some kind of a monkey crew going on over there, and I don't like it
Okay.
at all.
Thank you.
Rob?
My name is Robert Conroy. I've been the superintendent since 1999, and at the time that I came in, we were shut down by the DEP, who has jurisdiction over all water supplies, because I am a public water supply. So every month, we test our water, as well as we have sanitary surveys where the DEP comes out and looks at everything that's going on with the financials, with everything that we're moving forward, and if we are self-sufficient, which we are, okay? They built the treatment plant in 2007. They paid for it. There's no monies that they owe. So we're basically self-sufficient. And as I said, our bosses are the DEP and the EPA. Right now, we're in the process of a pilot study for the removal of PFAS. We're promulgated, we'll have to have all the removal done by 2031. So, if you have any questions for me?
Okay, I think we probably don't have enough detail right now as far as what, what's in this report from
But as
your district.
Mr. Keegan just informed you, we are a separate entity.
Correct.
All right, so the people of the district vote to determine what we do, period.
Right.
So it's not the town-wide vote, but it's the people of the district that
Right,
determine
exactly. Right.
what goes on in the district.
Okay.
All right?
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay. Anyone from the Center District?
And the Select Board, my name is Richard Romano from the Chelmsford Water District. I'm the chair of the board. I just have a brief statement, and if you have any questions. As many of you know, the town's talked about consolidation within the 3 water districts many times in the past. The overarching outcomes have remained relatively unchanged. Full consolidation is an extensive process that would span, in our estimation, a decade or more. It demands major legal, financial, operational, and governance restructuring. This represents a highly expensive and disruptive process when the core operational issues may be pertaining to one district. Recommending that all 3 districts commit to a costly minimum 10-year restructuring process goes far beyond the scope of the actual problem. Ratepayers in the better performing districts are not asking to be absorbed into a completely new structure to solve the challenges of one district. These ratepayers deserve to understand that this study's broad recommendation is not necessarily in their best financial or operational interest, nor is it the only viable path forward. A more prudent approach focuses on targeted correction, infrastructure planning, account management, and the direct protection of the ratepayers serviced by any affected district. The district appreciates the comprehensive work and effort that went into producing this study. However, because the board and management team just received this report on Wednesday night, we have not yet had sufficient time to review and analyze the material collectively. To ensure a productive and well-informed dialogue, we will thoroughly evaluate the study, and we'll contact the chair of your select board within a short period to share our formal thoughts and coordinate next steps.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sure.
Christine Fitch, Office Manager for East Chelmsford. I just want to make it clear that it was said that we were not forthcoming with information. The first that I got the request for information was Monday, March 16th, which does not leave any time. I've got the emails here from Mary Ellen Kelly. I told her at that time I was in the process of a billing. She understood that. And then the next email I get is her date of March 31st. Impossible to get that information in that time. So I take umbrage with that. And to say that we're not in financial good standings, we have liquid, as we speak, of over $500,000. East Chelmsford's not hurting financially. The comment was made about if I'm out of the office. I have never once had one complaint that somebody could not reach me or that a telephone call was not returned. Not once. So I just want to, I guess, defend us to some degree, because I don't think it's fair what was put out there. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, is there anyone from the North District that would like to speak to the board? Okay.
Madam Chair, if I may make
Sure.
a closing comment, just to put it in perspective. As you know, Pat, we've served together 18, 19 years. And in that first decade of that, we attended quarterly district water meetings, joint meetings of the 3 water districts. That hasn't occurred in a decade. That's a fact, right?
Right.
Also, as you know, because you were on the board at the time, about a year ago, I visited each of the 3 districts and talked about this and spoke to them and discussed this study. On 2 occasions, attended the meeting in East Chelmsford Water District. So let's make that fact known too. So it wasn't as though this is the first time they've ever heard that we're doing a study. I also want to make it known that if you recall last summer, before we initiated the study, the select board at the time invited the 3 water districts to discuss this topic with the select board. None of them replied or chose to meet with this board almost a year ago, last summer. That's a fact, because it's in our records, in our minutes, and these meetings are televised. The final thing I'll raise about a concern, you asked David about an issue, it probably goes back now about a half dozen so years ago when there was a fire on Rainbow Avenue, and there was a failed hydrant situation with the fire response. And the then chair of the select board, Mark Carrata, raised the concern about the maintenance of hydrants in the community for fire protection, an essential public safety source. The short story of that is Mark had to attend a Chelmsford Water District meeting. I was there. I don't know if you were there, Pat, but I know I was in attendance. I don't recall. And basically there were promises made, there'd be follow-up reports and data. To date, we've not seen anything. This isn't about picking on anybody or anybody's. This is about the essential core public safety for the town of Chelmsford in terms of fire protection. It's also about public health for Chelmsford, and it's also about all of the Chelmsford community. That's what this was for, and I would ask that's what the concern should be going forward. Is this shouldn't be a situation where we're looking at what turf or an area or section we have in Chelmsford. We don't structure ourselves in the fire department that way, the police department, the housing authority, or any other, the sewer operations of this town or otherwise. And that's what this was all driven about, because we've heard the concerns here about the struggles that residents have in terms of their utility bills, whether it's National Grid for electric or National Grid gas, sewer bills, and certainly their water bills. So, let's just understand what the nature of this was. This wasn't a witch hunt. This wasn't to go after individuals or interests. This was a way of how do we improve efficiencies in operations for the town of Chelmsford, for all the residents of the town of Chelmsford, regardless of where they are. And yes, as the consultant mentioned, that can be addressed over time with surcharges and other areas to be fair for those sections that have been underinvested, because you're right. It wouldn't be fair for somebody who's paid higher costs and capital assessments in one district to then pay for those that are limited to or serviced in one district. But that's what this is about. And my hope is that going forward, this issue can be something that unites and serves the community to the betterment of Chelmsford going forward. So that's all I wanted to say with this study, and I wish you and everybody well on moving forward, because that's really what the intent with this is about, is how can we improve things for everybody's benefit. Thank you, Madam Chair.
I'll support that with town meeting charged this board to try to turn over every stone and try to clean up any efficiencies that might exist in town, and that's what they asked us to do.
Okay, Dave?
I'm all set.
Okay. I guess what I would suggest, there has been comments that one of the districts wants more time to review this study. I think maybe members of this board would like more time to review this study and maybe go over some of the details in greater detail. And perhaps we could set up some kind of meeting with representatives from each district. There's somebody here from every district in this room tonight. I think we can reach out to them and set up some kind of meeting and start to move forward. I don't know if a 3-year consolidation, as Mr. Keegan mentioned, is realistic, no matter what we decide to do. But I think maybe we can get started doing something, and I think that's what the community is looking for. And then the more we can make the community aware of the differences in the different districts, to see how we can make them be more compatible, I guess you could say, and more fair across the board. Because it's not fair that somebody in one district pays more or less than somebody in another district. So maybe there can be some way that those rates can be, stabilized, I guess, for lack of a better word, or to know why they can't be. And I think that involves just a lot of discussion with somebody from each district, And, there's a lot of information in this report, but I think probably not enough for us to even begin tonight to start to even know what the questions are to ask. So, if everybody's okay with that, I can reach out to the representatives that were here this evening and see if we can set something up and get moving on this, because rather, we don't want to leave this with this report on the shelf just to collect dust and then do another one 20 years from now. We don't need to keep doing that. That sound like a reasonable plan?
Sure.
All right. Okay, any other comments before we go on to our next topic? I don't see any. Okay, so next up is,
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to say congratulations to Paul. This was his last night. You get a full agenda, so, but best of luck to him. I know he's going to a really great place too, so best of luck to him.
okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next up, I believe Christine Clancy is going to talk to us about the front yard tree program.
Thank you. This is a timely presentation just because we're wrapping up our first pilot program on the front yard tree program project. I was before the board, I want to say probably in the fall, talking about this project. And this really was a collaboration between the DPW, the tree committee, and really the vision of the select board, the select board's goal to being to restore the diminishing tree canopy. Also, this project couldn't occur without having the state MVP grant that was with Evan Belansky, town officials, committee members, and local residents that we were, over the past couple of years, worked together as a team to find a sustainability-related project. And this project really came to fruition as outcome of those meetings. So really, it is a collaborative effort. The program goals really. How do we replace our diminishing canopy? Our tree canopy is unfortunately diminishing 1% to 2% a year. In the past couple of years, we've tried to look at ways to restore, just to try to plant. There's a lot of various reasons why tree canopy is diminishing, whether it be disease, development, also people, people want to have, also storms. Some people like storm damage. So we have done over 100 trees last year. We're targeting 100 trees this year, and going back a few years, probably around 50 trees. Looking in the right-of-way, there's limited trees to plant within the right-of-way. And so we saw a perfect opportunity that just directly adjacent to the right-of-way, it benefits the tree canopy of the right-of-way, but also it's a benefit to the community. So this program offered a free tree within your front yard, the first 20 feet, and it's the responsibility of the property owner to maintain that, really adopt the tree, take care of it. So it's a great program for the community and for the residents. This program promoted tree values, aesthetics, habitat biodiversity, flood and stormwater mitigation, heat reduction, and carbon goals as well. So this was funded through that MVP project, $50,000. We started this project really this winter in coordination with the tree committee and DPW. We put together a advertisement. Thank you, Courtney Thompson, for the public outreach efforts, and Evan Belansky also did a mailing. We launched the application in February and quickly received a number of applications. 78 applications were received. Of that, we went through each application, and also we had a dollar amount we wanted to target, so 62 ultimately were accepted. On the application, with the tree committee, we selected native species, 12 that they could pick from, 6 species being more trees underneath overhead wires, and then other areas that were, larger fields and other type of various trees. We procured the project in March, and then just finished planting really last week. This just show.
So if I could just ask you, you said they received 78 applications, but only accepted 62. Why were the other 16 rejected? There was different reasons?
It was more so we were going out to bid, so I had to go out to bid with a certain project, and so we were estimating, and so I originally capped it at $50,000. So okay. It was really, and we were just under that. So maybe I could have added in a couple more, but we didn't know what the bids would come in as, and the bids actually came in quite variable. They were ranging from like $45,000 for this value, upwards of $90,000. So it really was based on the amount funded. But we do have a plan for the remaining applications that we do want to continue this program. So next slide, please. And this just shows, really, it was throughout the entire town, the applications came in, so it just shows, really spread both North Chelmsford, East Chelmsford, South Chelmsford. These are all the properties. And these are just pictures of the installation, so in people's front yards. And I thought it was timely to bring this to the board just to show the success, and also just how happy the residents were, that people were so grateful for the program, because they taking ownership of a tree in their yard, and it is also helping the goals of the town and the select board to restore that canopy. The trees were planted. It only took less than a week to plant all the trees. The crew, they went quickly, 20 minutes, half hour at each property. We also met with residents, making sure the trees were in the right locations. We provided tree care kits, it's shown as a soil moisture meter. We gave each resident that kit. So basically, it helps determine if the soil needs more water. And what I've actually heard, but had heard feedback from some residents, that's great that they have that material to help take care of the tree. They also were given a bucket, because the thing with new trees is planting is the easy part. It's really the watering. We've planted 100 trees the past couple of years, but even tomorrow I got to go look at some trees. We're going to lose some trees in that process for various reasons, or we've had severely hot summers. So this is an opportunity where a resident can really adopt a tree, take care of a tree, maintain it. So it takes 15 to 20 gallons a week of watering. It's pretty significant, and that was all provided to each of the residents. And so, what do we want to continue? I think this is a great program that we want to continue. Chelmsford Telemedia did do a news piece on this, and that should be available I don't know if it's this week or next week, so that's coming soon, so that will be soon on YouTube. We do need to find ways to continue to fund this, I think in a small capacity. So of the 16 applicants that weren't selected, I have them on a waiting list, and I'm going to try to plan them for this fall, because you can do planting in the fall as well. We might grow that a little more to maybe it's 30 trees. Continue to look for grant funding opportunities if we could go back up. It was a great pilot, but it also was a large project. It was a lot of coordination on my behalf. Our stormwater engineer, tree committee helped a lot. So while it was great, I think just maybe if we continue to baby step it, maybe look at 15, 20 trees in this fall, maybe another 30 in the spring. And I just want to continue the program. Also, when we were out there, people, like neighbors, were coming up saying, how do I get a free tree? So I do think that if we continue this, we're not going to see it drop off. I think it will continue for at least several years. And that's something that we'll continue to discuss on the tree committee. And people always ask me, how do I find out about this program? We post it on DPW, but also the town manager's newsletter. That's really where I think a lot of people did see this originally. Also, Peter Spahn from the tree committee is here, and I don't know if you wanted to say anything else about it, but thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Peter Spahn, 24 Fenwick and Tree Committee. I'll make this quick. I just wanted to acknowledge Christine and Courtney. They did a lot of work to make this thing happen and to make the residents feel like the town government was being very responsive to somebody coming and digging up their front yard. So I want to thank Christine for that, and I also wanted to comment that what I like about this program is it fits a whole bunch of town goals. So yeah, tree canopies in the strategic plan, right? But the trees are also part of the town's climate resilience effort, which we don't use that word a lot, but combat, heat and habitat loss, and it has like many, many values besides enhancing the public's front yard. And finally, Aaron, I don't know if you want to make a comment, but I had a marvelous chat with Aaron. I don't know if I shared this with you, Christine, but you got a tree and you were talking about how it's a great opportunity. The program's a great opportunity for the town to give something directly back to residents that's visible and people are excited about. And I didn't think about that, but that's kind of a cool aspect of the program.
Yeah, no, thank you, Peter. Peter and I talked about it because I was, bragging and getting ready to pull out pictures of my tree, and I was fortunate enough to get an application that worked, and I had the right spot that worked. The way you go through an application process and you get your bucket and your instructions, you really do feel like you're, at least I do and my family does, we have an obligation to take care of this tree. It wasn't to me about getting a free tree. It was about hosting a town tree that's going to be on the right of way. And it may sound a little corny, but that's really how we feel about it. And, I'm going out there with my bucket to water it, and we're checking the days, and we're checking, and then even, one of my kids is out there now checking it too. So I just think I know it's a tremendous amount of work, and Peter and I spoke about that. And I hope that now we've done it, that we can find a way to continue to fund some level of trees every year and have it not be so onerous on Christine and her team to go do that. But I just think it's a nice way to connect to a town. And again, it's one of those other things where, I don't see that necessarily happening in other communities. So again, I look forward to having the tree grow and taking care of it, and definitely encourage other people to get on that list. If you don't get your tree next year, stay on the list and try to get it the year after. So again, I do appreciate it. It was great work, and come visit my tree if you want.
Thanks, Aaron.
Any questions for Christine or Peter or Aaron?
Yeah, those water bladders that you see, are those those make sense or not?
So we thought we do put those on all of our town municipal trees. That's supposed to be, slow. Basically, it's a slow release. So we thought about including it in here. But a lot of times people bring a hose over, and that also is a slow release. We did provide the bucket. So one idea that actually someone on the tree committee said, if you drill some holes in the bottom of it, that will act as a slow release too. So it's not as necessary for homeowners, and just because they might have, bringing over a sprinkler or a hose. But we do put it on municipal because they're going out and doing a watering once a week. So and it allows that slow release. So you do see them on town trees.
There is benefit by doing that.
There is benefit. That's if you're going to dump all the water at once. There is benefit. We just didn't put them on the residential trees, but we do use it on all the town trees.
Okay.
Okay, anyone else?
Yeah, I came in, but I missed the cutoff date, I guess. And your staff was very polite about it. They said, probably just want to hold your application because it might get lost in the shuffle. Because you guys had already gone to bid at that point.
Yeah, so we will
And I said-
probably be, I have a few people in line, but we'll probably accept some more. So we'll be doing a launch at some point this summer. I just haven't set a date, and we'll do an announcement with the select board. So stay tuned.
I'll bring my application with me.
So get it ready.
It's in my truck.
Okay, anyone else want to do an application?
How about your backyard?
I thought they wanted it in the front yard so people that could see it from the street. All right.
Thank you.
If there's nothing else, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Christine. Thank you,
Great
Peter.
job.
All right, next up is the environmentally preferred procurement policy. Paul, if you want to tell us about this again?
Madam, sort of following the green and the tree issue. This is for the update to the town's policy. We had the first read at your last meeting 2 weeks ago. And again, this is to, reaffirm the town's obligation to purchasing environmentally preferred products. And the reason for this, as you may recall, is there's a grant deadline of June 1st to have a policy that meets the state grant conditions in place. And again, a lot of it incorporates some of the things that we already do in terms of, looking towards recycled content and reuse and activities and avoiding unnecessary purchases and so forth. So I guess I'll just leave it at that because we kind of covered this at length last meeting.
Okay, does anybody have any questions, additional questions about the policy? If not, we'll take a motion.
I'll make the motion that we support the environmental preferred procurement policy.
Second motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, unanimous, 5-0. Very good, thank you. All right, you have some bid awards.
Yes, and good thing Christine's here because they're all public works because she's sort of pushing her way through a series of projects. The first one is for the McCarthy Roof Replacement Project, owner's project manager. Proposals were issued by the Department of Public Works. This was a request for proposal, so as opposed to invitation for bids. 4 bids were submitted by project management corporations. They were evaluated, again, irrespective to price. The Socotec AE Consulting LLC was the highest ranked firm under the review committee. And then once they selected that rank order, they then received Socotec's price proposal, and that met the project budget constraint of $75,000. So again, we're seeking the confirmation of town manager's bid award as recommended by the Department of Public Works for the contract for OPM services for the McCarthy roof replacement associated work to be awarded to Socotec AE Consultant of Charlestown, Mass. In the amount of $75,000.
Do we have any questions? Okay, if not, we'll take a motion.
This is for the McCarthy.
McCarthy, yep.
All right, I make a motion, we accept the town manager's recommendation of the McCarthy roof replacement project to OPM services and roof replacement for the work at the McCarthy Middle School.
Second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, unanimous.
Thank you. Staying on the roof theme in the schools, as you know, that's a big area of focus on our capital plan. This is for the Center Elementary School partial roof replacement. As you can see, this is a rather minor project. For school roof, it's only a project in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. In this case, it was a 3 bids were received. The bids range from $117,000. As you can see, the second one was $178,000. The third one was $242,400. The lowest qualified bidder and the low bidder was C&K Roofing of Hudson, Mass. In the amount of $117,000. It's $117,700. This was again reviewed by our project consultant, Socotec. Again, falls well within our project budget, and they also, more importantly, have solid references. So again, seeking the Select Board's confirmation of my bid award as recommended by the DPW Public Works Director for the Center Elementary School roof replacement project to be awarded to C&K Roofing of Hudson, Mass. In the amount of $117,700.
Okay, any questions about this bid award? Okay, if not, we'll take a motion.
I'll make a motion, we support the town manager's recommendation to award the roofing replacement project at the Center Elementary School to C&K Roofing in Hudson, Massachusetts.
Second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that's unanimous.
Thank you. Now, we now move on to the drainage improvements for the, again, 2026 construction year. There were a project estimated cost of just over $444,000. There were 11 bids received for this work. The lowest responsive and responsible bidder was UEL Contractors, Inc., out of Clinton, Mass., in the amount of $374,314. Again, favorable project references, and so again, we seek the confirmation of the bid award as recommended by Public Works for this drainage projects as presented.
Okay, any questions about this bid award? Well, we'll take a motion.
I'll make a motion, we support the town manager's recommendation about the drainage improvement for 2026 to go to UEL Contractors.
Second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous.
Thank you. The next one is sump pump project. Quotes were received on April 30th for a project estimated cost of almost $49,000. 5 quotes were received. The lowest responsive and responsible bidder was J.P. and Sons out of Hudson, New Hampshire, in the amount of $28,250. Again, positive feedback for references. Again, we seek your confirmation of the bid award for the sump pump project to J.P. and Sons of Hudson, Hudson, New Hampshire, in the amount of $28,250.
Any questions? Okay, take a motion.
Make a motion, we support the town manager's recommendation for the sump pump quotes going to J.P. and Sons out of Hudson, New Hampshire.
Second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, unanimous.
Okay, the next one is microsurfacing for the upcoming construction season. Estimated project cost is almost $203,000. 1 bid was received. The lowest responsible bidder was Seal Coating, Inc., out of Braintree, Mass., and their bid was $206,147 with positive references, and DPW has previously worked with them. So again, we're seeking your confirmation of the bid award for the microsurfacing, the seal coating. as presented, and this is not atypical. Currently, in recent years, this is the company we've worked with, and we've often only received one bid for this micro sealing work. So we're not alarmed by this. This is somehow the market that we're in for this service.
Yeah, any questions? Take a motion.
I'll make a motion, we support the town manager's recommendation for the micro-surfacing to go to Seal Coating, Inc.
Second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
And then finally, for the Hart Pond Americans with Disability Act accessibility improvements at the beach area, the estimated project cost was $120,000. This was funded through an ADA grant. 5 bids were received. The lowest responsible and responsive bidder was Federico LLC out of Weston, Mass, and the bid amount of $133,372. They have positive references with shared similar work experience. So again, we're seeking confirmation by the Select Board of the bid award as recommended by DPW for the Hart Pond ADA improvements to Federico Company of Weston, Mass, in the amount of $133,372.
Any questions on this one?
Yeah, I see that they were not the lowest bidder. Is there a reason we didn't accept their bid?
That's why we use the word responsive and responsible. Unfortunately,
I appreciate that.
we had an adverse response to the low bidder. Public Works communicated with that low bidder. They were apologetic and basically have had a change in personnel and management. So they're not barred indefinitely, but we're hoping to see some track record and positive references and to be considered perhaps a year from now when this type of work is rebid.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions?
That was my question.
Take a motion.
I make a motion that we support the DPW's recommendation for the Hart Pond ADA improvements to be awarded to Federico Corporation, LLC.
Second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, unanimous. Okay, thank you. So on to your reports, Paul.
Yeah, just a couple items of community concern and notice. The first one is pertains to the Massachusetts Department of Transportation planned cleanup of the homeless encampment on the state-owned land adjacent to Route 3A in Drum Hill. Let me see if I can blow the graphic up because we know there's a number of encampments up there. We want to explain. This is the area off of Parkhurst Road. You can see that's sort of circled there in the red, Parkhurst Road, Route 3. We meet regularly with this, weekly, with the police chief, public works director, health director, and so forth. At this point, all we have is this notice that's gone out that they intend to clean out the encampment. MassDOT did reach out to Community Teamwork Incorporated because of the impact it could have on homeless people. But to date, we have not received any formal notification of when this may occur. And again, it's something that our police are not involved with because it's on state-owned property. So I just want to make the board and the community aware that the mess out there, particularly when the foliage was down, is visible. And again, we'll be working with the state and our community resource partners to provide an alternative. But the concern with this, we've seen this in Lowell and other communities, is many of these people refuse to go into indoor shelter situations, and so it almost becomes a game of just they end up moving around. So I just again want to make the board and the community aware of this latest effort on that property. The next item on my report is I wanted to share the results of the OPEB funding ratio comparison that was just released this month by the Public Employee Retirement Administration Commission. I've got a copy of a memo that should have gone in with the report, but our finance director, John Souza, provided me with a copy of this report. And I just wanted to note that, how do you measure yourself? You measure yourself by, those that are similar to you, in this case, other Massachusetts communities. And you can see I've listed 6 communities adjacent to Chelmsford from Barica, Dracut, Lowell, Tewksbury, Tingsboro, and Westford. Again, they have different measurement dates as measured by the PERAC, or the Public Employee Retirement Administration Commission, on how communities are addressing their unfunded other post-employment or retiree health insurance liability. And clearly you can see that Chelmsford is doing quite well compared to our other communities. We're at a over 25% funded ratio, followed by Westford at 9.3%, Tewksbury at 8.9%. and then, and going from there. So again, this is a concern, even with some of the fiscal challenges that we have, and really what it comes down to is a generational fairness situation. There is no state law that says a community has to fund other post-employment benefits. It's noted, as we know, from our credit rating agencies, which is one of the reasons the town has a AAA bond rating. But there's no mandate. What there is a mandate from is that we have to fully fund our pension system by 2040, and we're on schedule with Middlesex County Retirement, and John Souza, our finance director, is on their advisory board, to have that done by 2037. And why I mention that is the current unfunded liability for the town of Chelmsford towards that pension liability is over $12 million per year. So this is the question of generational fairness that we talk about. Well, why are we funding, the OPEB liability? It's because those who come after us shouldn't bear the cost for services that this community received in the current date, much like we're bailing out the unfunded pension liability that was sort of pushed upon us back in the days when the pension system was just on a pay-as-you-go system. So I just thought it was helpful information for the community as you move forward. The next item under my report is my monthly double poll report, and I would have wished I could have given you better news. But as we stand on May 1st, the town in the database has 87 double polls. That was an increase of 2 from the prior month. And the change on that was 7 double polls were removed in the month of April, and 9 were added. And so as you can see, there's a backlog. National Grid is always first. So that's why, fortunately, they're moving it along. They're at 0. But the backlog, and Verizon's last on the polls. So there's currently a parent backlog at Comcast. They actually took action last month, but then new ones got added. So again, we send out messages to the utilities, and we do monthly tabulations. And again, there is legislation before the general court to provide, under the Municipal Reform Act, to provide enhanced financial incentives, i.e. penalties for the utilities if they fail to act in a reasonable time manner. And we're hopeful that that will occur, although it hasn't occurred in recent years. But again, we just continue our diligence because it's a safety concern. It's often sightline issues for double poles as well as an aesthetic concern. So that's where we are on double poles. And then my penultimate item, and again, I'm just trying not to leave you with things hanging, but we still have not had a renewal of the parking lot lease agreement at 40 Vinyl Square. We'll see it on Memorial Day where the clock is in the front. That piece in the front is municipally owned. And that's why the clock's going there. And they're parking in the front. But in the rear, the town just completed a 30-year lease agreement for $1 with the then owner of the property. The property conveyed, I think now about 2 years ago. We reached out to the new owner. They were cooperative. Oh, yes, we want to work with the town, so forth. Brought it to town meeting, got the authorization for another 30-year term, because you can't enter, municipality can't enter an agreement more than 5 years in our case without town meeting approval for the same $1. And I just have not been able to secure the deal. So therefore, the existing lease has expired. Fortunately, there's nothing going on at the site that's telling people they can't park there. And so again, I just wanted to not leave you with without knowledge of an outstanding issue. I did speak to the management representative or / owner, one of the owners of the LLC a couple months ago, and I know I believe what the issue is they purchased the property obviously as an investment, and my guess is they probably have some investment goals. And what I've encouraged them to do is, if they're concerned that this lease may impact those, well, to have a discussion with our community development director, planner, and if necessary, go to the planning board, and then we can have shared communication and understanding so that we could get this done. Because much like we have the secured property in the center that the town purchased, we want to again support the merchants and those up in North Chelmsford with the renewal lease. So I'm sorry I wasn't able to bring this to closure, but I at least wanted to let you know the status. And then the final one, which is another ongoing measurement and issue, is the sewer flow report. The good news there is we continue to be in a drought. That's the only benefit of the drought, is the sewer flow doesn't rate issues, and I'll just sort of blow this up. as you can see, our sewer flow is well within our permitted limit of 2.66 million gallons per day. For the last 12-month period, we're at 2.28 million. And then what you see in the highlighted yellow is what happens in heavy years of heavy precipitation. And that's what the concern is, you know, we had a period there in 2 out of 5 years we exceeded our permitted flow to the treatment plant in Lowell, and hence going back, that was the issue of the moratorium and now the sewer connection policy by DPW. So I guess, you know, for the last 2 years they've been below average rainfall, but again, we know that weather tends to be cyclical in terms of this era of climate. So again, I just wanted to let you know where we stand and why I haven't been presenting it to you as regularly as we were back in 2024, because at that point, as you can see, we were exceeding our flow. So that concludes my report this evening.
Thank you. Okay, next on our agenda is meeting minutes.
Actually, I have one question.
Sure.
Paul, who owns the lot across the street, the parking lot to the left of Rose?
That's not the town. I believe it's the entity that owns the business adjacent to it, but I don't know the name off the top of my head. We can get that from the assessor's records.
But they don't give anybody a hard time parking there.
Right.
So.
Right.
Okay, any other questions about the town manager reports before we go to minutes? Okay, then we're at minutes. Everybody have a chance to look at those and see if there's any edits necessary, corrections?
I didn't catch anything.
Okay, we'll take a motion.
Make a motion that we approve the minutes of the May 4th, 2026 meeting.
Second the motion.
Okay, a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, very good. Okay, so we are at Selectmen Liaison Reports and Referrals. We'll start with John.
Okay, this is Asian American, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Islander Month. On May 14th, I attended a DEI first annual rice fair at the McCarthy. It contained numerous rice dishes from different nations and cultures. There was dancing and music. It was really nice. And the DEI will have library postings about AA and PI Heritage Month. On June 6th, there will be a booth at the Farmers Market to celebrate Pride Month, joined by the First Parish Unitarian Church and Chelmsford Connected. That's what I've got.
Okay. Jeff?
Pretty much all my attention's focused on the 4th of July at this point, and I think Lynn gave us a good update.
Okay,
So that's it.
all right. Aaron?
Yeah, just a couple quick updates. I was triple booked on Monday, so I didn't get to do Board of Health, but, you know, Donna's usually pretty good. If there's anything that we need to know from them, they tell us, or she'll communicate through me. And again, I think that the big thing with Vinyl Square Action is obviously the clock's going in, and we'll be able to see that in person soon. And then we had a managed growth strategy that Peter was talking about, we were chatting about the other night. So we're in a little bit of a lull here. We're gonna have another meeting, and I think in June, where we're gonna take some of the feedback and some of the work we got done by NEMCOG, which turned out to be really great, by the way. They're working on a couple of grants for us to get that study, to get all the studies and information that we need funded. So that work will continue on throughout the year, but at this point, it's going to get a little quiet because we need to wait on the output of those studies. We think it's going to be around $200,000 all in by the time we're done getting to where we need to get to. But that's a very diverse committee and very active. And again, I can't say enough about the effort that NEMCOG has been putting in. And then there's kind of a couple of standard things going on planning board. They're already working on things for next town meeting, but no big projects to note of now. And then I don't know what I did with my notes there, but we had our first meeting of the town manager selection committee, and I'm, was honored to be selected as the chair of that committee. So our next meeting, correct me if I'm wrong, John, is the 28th, right? Is that the day we decided?
Yes.
I think it's the 28th. And we're inviting anybody from the public to come in. You're going to be able to register to come in and speak. And then anybody that wants to provide comment or feedback is going to email me directly, and I will disseminate that to the board. And I thank you for all of those that have already emailed me. Just because I haven't acknowledged the reply doesn't mean that I didn't get it. I will definitely get those acknowledgements out. And then I didn't get to go, but I caught up a headline. So as we all know, we have a local racer in John McKennedy, and he clinched a checkered flag down at Seekonk for the first time in the Whelen Modified Tour Series for a while. So I was pretty excited to read that headline. So I didn't get a chance to talk to him about it, but it's a big deal at that level that he did that. So yeah, it was pretty cool, and that's all I have for tonight.
Okay, Dave?
Just a couple things. We did, several of us went to the fire station groundbreaking today. Pretty good event. Great to see a new fire station going up, especially if you looked in the old fire station. It really needs some updates. It was going back in time is what I said, and way back. So that was one thing we did. The other one I wanted to mention, it wasn't brought up, but in North Chelmsford specifically, the DPW did a lot of ADA compliant step-offs in the last month, and they were really quick, did a really efficient job at adding those. And I know there's some people that utilize those step-off because they have people in their family that can't walk, so that will make a difference to them. They did a really good job. There was two right at the end of my street, in fact. So good job by those guys getting that done quickly. They didn't leave the sidewalks in disrepair for maybe less than a week before they were out there doing them all. So real nice job.
Good.
Okay.
All right, the only thing I have this evening is, we had some of the members of the water commissioners here this evening. Some sad news having to do with one of the North Chelmsford water commissioners, Bob Levitt, who passed away about a week ago. So condolences to his family and, to the other members of the water district. I know they're a very tight-knit group, so Bob is definitely going to be missed. So with that, we will take a motion to go to executive session.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we break to executive session to discuss the strategy respected to the collective bargaining with Chelmsford Firefighter Unit Local 1839 for injury leave compensation for firefighter Nicholas Spinelli pursuant to General Laws, Chapter 30A, Section 21A, 2. Also to discuss with respect to collective bargaining agreement with the Firefighters Union 1839 for a new collective bargaining agreement pursuant to General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A, 2. And to discuss preparation for negotiation with non-union personnel or contract negotiations with non-union personnel, the responsibilities of the acting town manager pursuant to General Laws, Chapter 30A, Section 21A, 2. Then we will return after executive session to wrap up today's agenda.
Second the motion.
Okay, a motion and a second. Before I do a roll call vote, I have to note that the reason we're going to executive session is because to discuss these issues in open session could be detrimental to the position of the town. So with that, we'll do a roll call. Aaron?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. Okay, so we are adjourned, and we will be back. May 18th, is it still? May 18th, we're reconvening this meeting in open session for a few announcements to come out from our executive session. First of all, we completed negotiations with acting town manager John Souza. He will be compensated each pay period an additional $1,500 per pay period until a new town manager is on board, or for 6 months, whichever comes sooner. And then we may, if we have to, we will renew that appointment in 6 months, but and then we'll go from there. So congratulations, John. Look forward to working with you, having you up here in 2 weeks. Thank you. Want to give an update on the new town accountant. The past couple of weeks or so, we interviewed Heather Russo as a new town accountant. She was one of probably the easiest interviews. I think Paul was there and John was there and Lisa Maroney and Darlene Lucier. It was more of just a conversation about how everything works as far as being a town accountant. So they carried most of the conversation then, but she came across as very knowledgeable, very experienced, knew a lot about the town before even coming to the interview. So that's always impressive when you know somebody does their homework. So she will be starting on August 17th. She was unable to be here tonight to introduce herself, so hopefully at our next meeting she will be able to be here, and we'll talk more about the criteria that we have, and her salary and all that other information at that time.
You want to take a vote for appointment on
Oh,
her?
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
She's
we should
agreed
do
to an
that.
appointment offer, yeah.
All right, so Heather Russo is her name. Can we have a motion?
Yeah, of Derry, New Hampshire, just so that way.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we appoint Heather Russo of Derry, New Hampshire as our new town accountant.
Second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Anybody have any other questions about her that I might be able to answer?
It'd be effective August 17th. Everyone know that. You know, when, you know,
Yeah.
and she'll have an overlay with Darlene for a few weeks till Darlene retires at the beginning of September.
Okay, all in favor of that appointment?
Aye.
Okay, it's unanimous, very good, thank you. Okay, and I also want to announce that we did talk about the special legislation that the governor has submitted for the injury leave compensation for firefighter Nick Spinelli, who we heard here earlier this evening. We did talk definitely about strongly supporting that legislation, and I think each of us can probably work to get in touch with our legislative delegation to be sure that they know how serious this is. But in the meantime, effective tomorrow.
Want to take a vote first to support the legislation, Pat?
Sure, we can
Formally,
do that.
House Bill 5429.
I'll make a mo-
Just want to make a copy of it, so that would be on the record.
Thank you.
That's the actual letter from the governor.
I'll make a motion that this board supports the House docket 5429.
Second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. All right, thank you. And I just want to also announce that during our earlier executive session, we voted to, that effective tomorrow, firefighter Spinelli will be under administrative leave, during which time he will receive his full pay as he would get it if he were on duty every day. This will continue. The town will cover that cost until the legislation that we just voted to support is passed, at which time the town will be reimbursed per that legislation for any expenses, any salary and expenses that we expend during that time. Is there anything else that we need?
Well, more importantly, Mr. Spinelli will not miss a paycheck.
Right, exactly. That's what the bottom line is. He will not miss a paycheck, so. And we look forward, it was so good to see him here tonight, and we look forward to seeing him recovering completely, and if he's able to be back on the firefighting force. So, is that everything? I think that's...
Yeah, I would just want to make a statement. I'll interrupt for the last time, but I just want to acknowledge and state for the record, the efforts by town officials towards the action tonight, as well as the legislation that's been filed by the governor. As Chief Ryan noted at our last meeting, despite what was reported in the submitted article to the media and statements that were made in this room, Chief Ryan, myself, and our Labor Council, KP Law, worked diligently on this from the onset, discreetly, and did communicate. And we will, in fact, release all the public records that were requested on this matter so that people can make their own firsthand evidence determination. But we've worked from the onset to address the compensation, because this was all about Nick Spinelli. And thank God he survived that fall, and thank God he's doing so well in his recovery. And that's never wavered from our mind, and that's why many times we bit our lip and bit our tongue, because we didn't want to get derailed by not focusing on that. And so again, I want to acknowledge that this is a great outcome and great decision by the community, and we thank all those who've contributed to that, from our legislative delegation, the State Fire Marshal's Office, the executive Secretary of the Executive Office of Public Safety and Security, the Chelmsford Firefighters Union, the Professional Firefighters of Massachusetts, and all those others who worked for this goal. Like I said, I just wanted to note that for the record that we're given all that's transpired, we're fortunate that to have him in this room this evening, and that we're fortunate to be able to have the support of the governor, which again took some time, and we thank our legislative delegation and all the others. So thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. We're ready to adjourn, but if you have any last comments, Paul, you'd like to make, this being your last official meeting, you have the floor, or not, whatever you want, whatever you prefer.
Again, I just would just say thank you. Thank you for the opportunity and the support that I've received over the past 19 and a half years. I've thoroughly enjoyed my time here in Chelmsford, and again, I didn't achieve anything without so many others that are thankless to recognize and to commend, including the 25 different select board members that sat at this table with me over 19 and a half years, as well as the countless department heads, residents, boards, committees, volunteers, and so forth. Basically, I spent about a third of my life, in this community as the town manager, and I just thank you for that opportunity, and I wish nothing but the best for the town of Chelmsford going forward. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Paul. We truly appreciate everything you've done.
It's been a pleasure to work with you, Paul, for 20-some-odd years.
Thank you is not enough, but I definitely appreciate all the years that I've lived here and you've been the manager, but especially over these last couple, to sit at this table with you and be able to participate in our government. So thank you is not enough, but that's what I got for you.
Anything, David?
I wish you were staying.
Yeah, I wish we'd worked together longer.
I would like to say one more thing to follow up on Mr. Spinelli when he came up to the mic tonight. I have suffered through a life-changing event, and I know without my family in this community, I never could have gotten to where we got now. And I know how important that is for him. And I hope this town will always have his back. With that, I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
Okay.
Motion seconded.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you.